Welcome to the Clause YouTube channel.
Together, we strive for a safer, secure, and more stable world.
Hello and welcome to Center for Land Warfare Studies YouTube channel. Today, in the series of podcasts wherein we bring to you apex leadership of the Indian Army to do podcast and facilitate our viewers to know the Army better, we have with us Lieutenant General Vinod Nambiar, Sena Medal, who recently assumed the role of Director General and Colonel Commandant of Army Aviation on 1st August 2024. A very warm welcome to you, General Nambiar.
Thank you, sir.
Well, before we proceed further, let me briefly introduce General Nambiar to you. General Nambiar was actually initially commissioned into the Armored Regiment, in fact 72 Armored, but subsequently, because of his prowess in aviation, he got permanently absorbed in the Aviation Corps, and thereafter he has performed exceedingly well. In fact, he has 4,000 hours, flying hours to his credit. He also raised a brigade. He commanded 3 aviation units, which is a unique thing. He also commanded a unit in Congo. And thereafter, after a long, illustrious career, he has now taken over the reins of the entire Army Aviation Corps. We couldn't have asked for anyone better than him to actually take us through the journey of the youngest corps of the Indian Army, the Army Aviation Corps. Very warm welcome to you, General Nambiar.
Thank you, sir.
So, before we move ahead to our this discussion, let me warm you up with a very a short question, and I would like you to basically crystal gaze and say as to how do you see the growth trajectory of Army Aviation from its birth and to its future. Where do you see it going? In a very brief manner, so that our audiences are uh, put through the discussions in a smooth manner. Over to you.
Thank you, sir. Why you are right, sir. Army Aviation is the youngest arm of Indian Army. But to tell you, our legacy actually goes a very, very long way back, sir. In fact, it goes even before independence. You must have heard of air observation post of artillery, sir.
Yes.
And at that time, to get a better view of the targets, at that time the air observation posts used aerial platforms
Correct.
in order to direct artillery fire, and that is where the legacy of Army Aviation started initially. And it was during the world wars that this legacy continued, and post independence we continued with that unarmed platform, directing artillery fire as our primary role.
Okay.
And of course carrying out casualty evacuations and reconnaissance for the commanders. So at that time Army Aviation was using fixed wing aircrafts like Oster, Krishak and Pushpak. And it was in the early 70s that the helicopters were inducted into Army Aviation and the fixed wings were phased out, considering the dynamic role that Army Aviation was expected to perform in the tactical battle area. And we started with, in the early 70s, from the French Alvet, which was renamed as Chetak and Cheetah in our inventory, sir. And finally, as you brought out, it was in 1986 that Army Aviation Corps came into being as one of the arms of Indian Army. And it is from there that the real journey, I would say, of Army Aviation actually commenced. Yes.
Well, coming on to the next question, which is, the Russia-Ukraine war, and there are a number of conflicts which are taking place all over the world.
Sir.
Different organizations or different think tanks put the number of conflicts at different levels. Some
Sir.
say 35, some say 56, some say 114. But
Sir.
Russia-Ukraine has been a kind of a eye opener where you find that conventional and non-conventional, gray zone, everything is getting mixed, right?
Yes, yes.
But there is one thing which has stood out very prominently is that the concept of favorable air situation and air superiority, etc. All that is losing. It is somehow being negated by air denial,
So,
which essentially means that the aerial platforms are being pushed up, as you are
yes,
well aware.
sir.
So that is posing a direct threat to you,
Yes,
right?
yes.
And the things which are putting threat to you are the drones, etc., which are pushing you up and up, because of which you get picked up fast. So therefore, your maneuverability reduces, your access to the battlefield DBA reduces. So what is the Indian Army Aviation Code doing about negating such threats which are coming from the aerial platform, which are being faced by the aerial platform? And in our case, also we will have a similar kind of situation.
Yes, sir. Just to put it very succinctly, warfare is a dynamic business. It is always, it has been historically, you would see that with every stalemate or a condition on the battlefield, there is some technological or operational, aspect which comes into that
Yeah.
tactical battle area,
So
which
you had
takes
the
it to the next level.
yeah, you had the tank, so you got the
Absolutely,
anti-tank. So
absolutely right.
yeah, that's a process
So,
which
correct.
carries on.
So, as far as particularly speaking of helicopters, the helicopter warfare and its utilization in operations actually came into being or started with the Vietnam Wars. That is where most of the concepts of aerial warfare or helicopter operations actually started. And of course, it was not without its degree of losses. There were tremendous amount of helicopter losses in Vietnam, and most of it was because of ground fires.
Ground.
Now that we come to the latest Ukraine-Russian conflicts, if you see the war actually started with helicopter operations on the first day itself. It was, of course, and it to a degree it achieved what it went with as far as the aerial part of it was concerned. Of course, the ground operations stalled for a different reason. The issue that you brought out, sir, that what we are seeing now in that battle
Yeah.
theater is about the use of drones.
Yeah. And,
And
how are you actually catering to deny these threats to your flying birds?
so, while drones are not a direct threat to
Yeah,
helicopters, sir, but definitely your ground-to-air missiles are a threat, and that is what we saw in Ukraine. So, most of the
Yes.
helicopter losses were because of that.
The air defense is assuming a lot of importance.
Absolutely, sir. And helicopters have always been vulnerable, sir, to ground fire, whether it be yeah, small arms or machine guns or AD guns or to missiles. Now, there has to be a technological, aspect to overcoming these challenges, and that is what we are looking at. So, one is technological, and the other is your method of operating in the battlefields. So, as far as technology is concerned, so we are investing very heavily and looking at countermeasures to these missiles,
Okay.
which today the technology is available worldwide, particularly things like directed infrared countermeasures or your suitable electronic warfare suites and self-protection suites
Okay.
and obstacle avoidance systems which allow you to fly low, which is the second aspect of how you deal with this issue, is to fly close to the ground, do nape of earth flying. And the most important lesson, sir, that I think we can take away from this conflict with regard to use of helicopters is to use this potent platform in conjunction with the ground forces. It has to be seen as a integral part of the ground forces so that it enmeshes itself and is provided survivability and operational effectiveness along with the ground forces and not in isolation.
So basically, you're talking of in conjunction employment of the aviation
Yes,
assets, but that has its own challenges. The short range AD weapons, etc., would be a problem for you. And
yes, sir.
one of the aims of theirs is as to push you as away from the TB as possible.
Yes, sir. But that is where I again say, sir, that this is something that we, as a part of our tactics and techniques, we have to be
Modify
and
now.
modify, and not just modify, but to implement something that we have always been saying, sir, that aviation is the third maneuver element of a ground
Yeah,
force.
yeah.
It is only that it is maneuvering in the
Yeah.
third dimension, but it has to be seen as a maneuver and a fire element, which is using that third element, but in conjunction with the ground forces.
So that brings me to that, because it is all related to the previous question.
So,
Is that because of you mentioned third maneuver element.
yes,
Now there is another third maneuver element in the aerospace domain, and which are these unarmed vehicles, and you have drones, you have RPAs, the
yes,
number of platforms which are coming up, which are making the battlefield even more intense and even more dangerous,
yes,
as also technology is getting pumped in a big way.
yes.
So, what are the Indian Army's view over the as far as the contemporary war and future wars are concerned on the use of such systems? Where are we heading, basically?
Sir, one thing is very clear. Over the last about 10-15 years, we have seen that now technology is driving the way wars are being fought.
Okay.
And our tactics and strategies are actually being shaped by the technology that is available. So, when we see our remotely piloted aircraft system, RPAs, that we have now inducted into Army Aviation, it is also a fallout of its this technology maturing and then being used in being the previous conflicts such as the Gulf War, the Armenian conflict, and
Yeah, they are being used all over.
absolutely. But the way they have been used and the way now they are also getting enmeshed in the ground operations is evolving tactics and techniques, which is now, I would say, coming to maturity. Of course, the next step of this issue will be to see how they perform in contested airspace. But as of now, we can say that they are being employed in and being used in the Ukrainian conflict, and we are very close, watching it very closely to see as to how these platforms are actually performing when there is a contested airspace or there is a potent air defense systems.
So, with that word weaponization,
Sir.
future is looking at multi-domain operations where we are focusing on effects more than entities.
Yes.
Right. So if it is going to be effect-based operations, then theaterization becomes a very important aspect of it. So how do you see army aviation in a theaterized environment? What would be its role? How will it be controlled, etc.? Whatever you feel are going to be the defining factor if you have to be part of the theaterized environment.
So I believe that at the end of it, theaterization is a whole of services approach.
Yes.
Something in which we had learned of whole of nation approach. I would say that this is a whole of services approach, and to any contingency or a situation that our nation may face tomorrow, and therefore it's a step in the right direction, absolutely, and no doubt about that.
Okay.
I'm sure that it will lead to finding more optimum ways to utilize our resources under a single or under a unified command and control, which is only going to improve our effectiveness and our response time. So
Okay.
that is absolutely in the right direction, sir. And having said that, I must also highlight that whether it is RPAs which are flying 30,000 feet and above, or our helicopters which will be flying, say, 100 feet above the ground, the relevance of aviation resources across the services will continue to grow manifolds. And at the end of it, its employment and its effect that it will have on the tactical battle area will be under the command and control of a ground forces commander who will be employing these resources in order to achieve success in that particular battle space.
Okay. So, how do you see then the theaterization transformation shaping up for army aviation? You know, so specifically to army aviation, how do you see this now um, getting plugged into the entire whole of service approach which you just mentioned?
Sir, Army aviation, right from the beginning, as far as we were concerned, we always propagated that it is the integral resource application in the tactical battle area that is going to pay operational dividends.
Okay.
So, theaterization would demand that we transform ourselves from now joint operations to actually integrated operations. So this would cut across services, and I would say that we are we have already made a huge transformational steps in these directions to making joint operational procedures, rules, operating envelopes, and terminology, communication between the two services.
Okay.
And in fact, it even goes down to integrating our logistics and communication and maintenance, aspects. So, at this point of time, I would say that in the aviation space, the three services now definitely understand each other much more intimately than it ever was in the past.
Okay.
So, as far as Army aviation is concerned, sir, it continues to remain a extended, potent, integral force of the field formations. So the basic concept of providing integral ISR, lift and armed support to the field formation commander in every mission and all phases, that would largely remain the same in a theatrized model also.
Modernization, in any case, the Ministry of Defense is major priority. Not only Ministry of Defense, actually it is a national priority, including for the armed forces. So towards that particular goal, uh, what is being done as far as the army aviation is concerned? What are your modernization goals and targets, and how are you going to achieve it? Is what my next question to you would be.
Sir, Army aviation, as far as the helicopters are concerned, primarily consists of recce and surveillance helicopters. Then we have our lift helicopters and we have our combat helicopters. And we are on the path of modernizing all the three pillars of our helicopter fleet. When it comes to recce and surveillance helicopters, sir, like we had initially started the discussion that the Chetak and Cheetahs are our platforms that we are operating.
Okay.
They are of 60s vintage, and of course, there have been multiple attempts starting from 2000, in the early 2000s, to find a suitable replacement that can replace these now aging machines, because they are, like I said, a testament to their sturdiness. But of course,
Everything has a life.
has a life, and now it is already an operational imperative that has come to this. So, of course, HAL is developing and designing a indigenous helicopter, the light utility helicopter.
Yeah, anyways.
It has been under development for some time now, and it is something that we would look forward to have a platform which can match the world class standard of a helicopter and meet our operational requirements. But having said so, and considering that the requirement of replacing these helicopters is becoming more and more urgent, there would be a requirement to also look beyond
Yes.
only one aspect and one platform. As far as the lift is concerned, sir, we have got the advanced light helicopter,
Yeah.
or the Dhruv. and they are indigenously designed and developed
That's a
helicopter.
fairly good success story, I would say.
Yes, it is, and it is a workhorse of Army Aviation today in all its variant, including the armed version of it.
Absolutely.
Of late, of course, you would have heard in the media about these spate of accidents that this particular platform went through, and they are a matter of concern, sir. And HL is also equally seized of this issues that is coming onto this platform, and I'm sure HL is taking the right steps to address the root cause of these problems that have come up. They have done so in the past, and I'm sure and I'm confident that they'll continue to do so, and take steps to ensure that this platform reliability is of the standard that we would desire.
Okay. My next question to you is basically related to, what are the Indian Army's plan for capability development in the RPA's domain, right?
Okay.
So, very specific question.
Yes.
So you could highlight this particular issue.
Okay, so like I said, sir, for like in helicopters, in our RPS fleet, we have got Searcher Mark II and Heron Mark I. They were the ones which were inducted earlier. Of course, Searcher is quite old, sir. So I would say that it has actually reached a stage where it is it has reached obsolescence, and it would require to be replaced.
Okay.
We have also recently inducted Heron Mark II, and we are in the process of inducting Hermes 900 Starliner.
Okay.
These were purchased in our emergency procurement process, and they are, of course, a step up from the technology that the Heron Mark I and the Searcher have. They are basically one of the most important component is the SATCOM, and they are more powerful, and there are other technological advances in these machines. So we are looking at now upgrading the existing Heron Mark Is that we have in the fleet to the same technological level of the contemporary RPAs, which will include SATCOM enablement and other aspects like the ability to fly in segregated airspace, IFF, all-weather flying capabilities, and most importantly, the weaponizations, so that these platforms also get weaponized so as to be doubly effective in a battle area. And you would have also heard of this MQ-9 Sky Guardian contract, sir. Now that is I would say, a game changer in actually in taking a bold step much ahead in the technological domains.
Something about flight safety, etc. What are you doing to ensure that there is better flight safety, less accidents? What specific steps are being taken Army aviation wise?
So, like I said, sir, it is human error. So, therefore, it is the involvement of humans.
Yeah.
And I'm making sure that right from the top to the bottommost individual involved in this entire ecosystem of flying is firstly well aware of how our SOPs and policies and the rules and regulations that are in place affect flight safety as far as the human aspect is concerned, and that includes the maintenance as well, because that is where it starts.
And everything included.
Absolutely. And the planners
and
who plan this thing, the trainers who train this thing, and finally it comes to execution. So there is a series of I would say preventive interventionist schemes or methodology that we have evolved, which involves from the directorate teams going out to the units, checking out their practices and way of operating, and advising them accordingly and recommending measures to enhance the flight safety and to prevent human error.
So I think we've had a lovely discussion But coming on to a very interesting question, today we are seeing that there is a lot of stress on gender equality. I wouldn't say gender equality, but gender participation needs to be increased. And we have had in the past also, some terrific women leaders, combat leaders, whether in history or even in current, and other armies are also doing similar thing. So, what about the army aviation? What is it doing to induct more and more, women pilots? As you see, the Air Force is already, I think, graduated to fighter pilots, etc. So, your story about women in the army aviation.
Uh, Sir, we are absolutely in step with the women empowerment in armed forces, and we have started inducting women officers in our helicopter fleet
Okay.
as well as the RPF fleet. Sir. It's started about 3 years back, and as of now, we have 9 women pilots in the helicopter fleet, and we have 11 women officers who are in our RPF fleet.
Okay.
So,
So 20 is to?
sir, this started in about 2021-22. We started recently.
So you just started.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
And I'm sure that these numbers will only increase as they get more exposure, and there is peer-to-peer, talk among the women officers. Uh, I would like to highlight that they are the achievement is tremendous. There is absolutely no difference between
Okay.
male and women officers in Army Aviation. They are deployed in operational roles, including in forward locations. They are going to be very soon inducted into combat helicopter units also.
Okay.
And uh, these women officers have worked very hard, sir, to break the stereotype. And I'm very happy to say that they have actually proved their mettle in Army Aviation. And I think that in times to come, they will, and I'm looking forward to them commanding aviation units and taking the arm to greater glory in the ahead.
Yeah, so basically this question was prompted by the fact that few months back there was a comment on women officers command, etc. So that's why I thought, let me ask you this question, seek your view. So, and that's a very positive approach to having them as part of your fleet or as
Yes.
part of your group.
Yes.
And being the spearhead, I would say, of women in combat, and they would face the same danger that
Yes.
any male pilot would do.
Absolutely.
My last question to you is
Sir.
that where do you see Army Aviation 2047? This Viksit Bharat. So at the time of Viksit Bharat, how do you see Army Aviation, in what kind of a shape?
Yes. Of course, India aspires to be a developed nation, sir.
Yes.
Viksit Bharat by 2047.
Yes.
And Army Aviation is following the Armed Forces vision for achieving that aim through its force structuring and capability developments. So we will transition to a Shashakt Bharat, sir. And how I see it is that this is through the realm of Atmanirbharta, and especially with a very self-reliant aviation sector. Like I said, the private industry and the whole of industry actually has to come up and establish a robust ecosystem which will cater for a secure global supply chain. We have, sir, in Army Aviation also set our goals as per visions in 3 phases, in line with the directions of our Chief of Army Staff. And so as we step into the era of transition, we are looking at inducting our combat helicopters, particularly the LCH or the Prachand, in this era of transitions, and upgrade our RPA fleet to match up to the technology and the operational requirement that Indian Army requires today.
Okay.
And as we go into the next steps, which is the era of consolidation, that is when the all the fleets of helicopters and RPAs, which Army Aviation is mandated to have, sir, in its be it recce and surveillance helicopters, its replacement, uh, uh, inducting all the required lift helicopters as other than Dhruv, of course, and complete the combat capability of our attack helicopters, which will include its primary weapon systems of anti-tank guided missiles and air-to-air missiles. And these will now result and take us forward into the era of controls, where in that space we hope to and we will aspire to develop into a versatile third dimension combat maneuver arms, capable of undertaking combat missions in, as you said, multi-domain environment in all aspects of warfare as an integral component of the field commander in the tactical battle area, sir, and that is most important. And that by then we hope to become a potent force multiplier, sir, which will give the required operational effect and decision to the Indian armies.
So I think we've had a very good long discussion. Thank you very much, Jan Nambiar. I think that was a very good discussion we have had, and thank you for sparing your time and coming onto this podcast and telling the nation exactly what the Army Aviation is looking at, where it is intending to go, how it intends to go. Thank you very much, and Jai Hind.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for providing a platform for for me to give my views and opinions, and it was a privilege to be here with you, sir.
And wish you all the very best for your aero show, which is going to happen, I think, in Bangalore.
That's right, sir.
So
Thank you.
So hope to see you there.
Thank you, sir.